So I have a background. My name is Anil Jaising, and I have a background of product management and technology. And I want to bring these ideas together all the time because my goal here is to help entrepreneurs and product owners thrive. And so that's really the reason for this particular presentation, where I want you to create a business case for artificial intelligence. If you're product owners, if you're entrepreneurs, if you're product managers, and you want to include AI features into your product, or create an AI native product. Both could be something that this particular presentation would be valuable for you. So I want to go ahead and go to the next slide. Many of you, I've actually, I'm familiar with you. You're from Scrum Alliance, so maybe you heard about this study that was just recently released by Scrum Alliance and Business Agility Institute that talked about the product manager skills that even in a challenging market, challenging job market in 2024, there have been a lot of skills that are not there for many product managers and product owners. So their companies are finding it hard to find these skills and hire such people. And so the kind of skills that they have listed in this report are focused on strategy and technology. And the focus really is for people to have that leadership style, people that are communicating with customers, people that are communicating with stakeholders, and getting decisions made and ensuring that the product is going in the right direction. And that's really what a lot of this skills that are lacking in many of the product owners potentially who come to my class, potentially people that I work with my clients. And I want to try and raise the bar so that it's not just about operational skills, about delivery skills, but it's also about strategic skills. And that's the driver for this presentation. So I want to go off to the next slide, and I want to ask you all, I'm going to, Shruti actually, is going to put you into a breakout room with a partner. You might meet one or two people, and what you're going to do in the breakout room is you're going to spend 5 minutes in the breakout room, and we'll bring you back after 5 minutes. And what you're going to do is introduce yourself and share a skill that you want to improve on or get better at, or just learn from scratch, whatever is something that's important for you and why. So we'll see you in 5.
All right, so I think I'll include, can create maybe 6 rooms, probably. Yeah,
Sounds good.
or 8. Yeah, 6 probably makes sense. We'll have 3 each probably. And
Shruti, you're the driver. Go for it.
all right, let's do that. And 2 to 3 parties. Okay, perfect. Let's create. Da-da-da. All right. I think everyone's able to join, hopefully. Are you guys seeing the pop-up? Yeah. Perfect.
And you might want to add Greg to one.
I think I asked it automatically. I think you're assigned to room 4, Greg. Are you able to see the pop-up? You should be in, oh, I think you're on mute, Greg. Wendy, do you want to hop into room 4 as well?
Sure.
So that way we can give Khalid company.
Okay, so you basically had something where they have to pick a button, right, Shruti?
Yeah, it's all automatic. So I mean, yeah, so they're supposed to accept to actually jump into the room.
There's a way for you to also do it so that they jump into a room directly. So let me see if I can
Are you
plan next
to...
session.
Let me make you the host as well and see if it's any
I'm
different.
okay. I'm okay. I can do this. Give me 2
Okay.
seconds. I'm
All
gonna do
right.
but for the next session, not for this one.
Okay.
And I think I'm ready for the next session, whenever that happens.
And I think close rooms, I would say settings.
Oh, not right now. Don't do
Not
anything.
yet. Yeah, no. I'm just trying to like count down after closing
10
10.
seconds. Also, can we, am I sharing in? I want to share in the breakout rooms also this presentation. I don't know if I'm doing that.
I don't think it lets you share. Would you be able to do that?
I'm looking.
Because I don't see any settings on my end. Greg, are you able to hear us? Oh, okay. Looks like can I switch him to maybe a different room and see if that gives you, I'm gonna try and put you in a different room, Greg, and see if that gives you the pop-up again. Let's try that. I think you're still on mute. Are you able to come off mute so we can check? Oh, we still can't hear you. Uh-oh. All right, I'm just gonna try to move you maybe to a different room. Let's see if that does anything.
Like shares.
Um, we do have some folks joining us.
That's great.
Anil, were you able to see if you can project this?
No, I was not, but I'm going to be okay. I'm just going to stop the share for a second. You can bring them back because
Okay.
and I'm going to just share again.
All right. Yeah. And I could have posted, I mean, I think we can post the question even in the chat and see if we could have folks come back.
I didn't mean to click the button. Sorry, Vikas. I clicked the button and I meant to close it, like get it off the screen, but it just sent me back.
All good. You're welcome to join us. Your partner might have been wondering, like, what's going on? Why am I here?
No, I'm good. I'm good.
Oh, cool. Vikas. All right, there we
Yeah,
go.
I was talking to Tricia. Yeah. Thank you.
We were wondering if you could see the presentation in the breakout room. We were trying to do that, and that
Yeah,
could be a
that's what we're trying to figure out. I was like, oh,
problem.
maybe we just kicked off the breakout rooms sooner than we should have.
So I want to figure that out, but I think we should be able to share it in the breakout room. And if not, then we'll not have the breakout room and we'll do it in the main room.
Yeah, the only other way we could have done that is probably maybe just like add questions in the chat, Anil, if there was something you want to share. But that's probably the only way to, you know, at least try to share some content without actually sharing the presentation.
Yeah. All right. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. In the Zoom chat window, share with us a skill that you would like to improve or learn.
Yeah, I would go first. So yeah, the execution part, as I was talking to Tricia, execution, and as a startup, how do you really find a co-founder if not co-founder, how do you really take care of the business? You basically get going with less money, so because you still want to go fast and you have to launch fast, but that's all I was thinking about.
That's great. And then a lot of people are sharing the Zoom chat windows. I really appreciate if you do that, and we can just scroll up and look at people's, what they are mostly interested in. Nice. Very
Yeah.
cool.
We've got a
Very.
nice, interesting list here. Do we
Coach
want
to
to read through it, Anil, or is this just more so you're kind of acquainting yourself with?
We should all acquaint ourselves with it. Just scroll
Yeah,
up. I mean,
absolutely.
I don't need to read it.
So we've got product to business goals, AI, effective communication, which is great. Using AI to help with B2B marketing. Interesting. Using AI in product development. I know Manoj probably also hosts meetups and probably has plenty of meetup events that have kind of spoken to some of those topics as well. Prioritize appropriate business needs and convert them to product ideas. More about productization from AI. It's great. Coach to agile transformation.
Excellent. Excellent. Excellent.
Interesting.
Excellent. Keep these around in your pocket. Keep these ideas, because these ideas are really, really powerful. And I want to focus on a couple of them, which is how to create a business case to sell AI to your executives and to stakeholders. But all of these ideas are fantastic because I want to share with you ways that you can learn about these or improve in them at the end of the presentation. So make sure you're still here until the end of the presentation, okay? So what I like to do is then invite you to the next slide. So what do I do? Well, what do? I started my career as a technologist. I had a master's in computer science in the early 1990s. I went off and started working in New York. A friend of mine said, investment bankings pay a lot of money. So go to investment banking and start working there. So I started working for this small little company called Solomon Brothers. We had about 4,000 employees all across the world, and it was a niche investment bank. And the product that I worked on would send messages across the world in 3 seconds. And you look at me like, yeah, what's the big deal? Well, not necessarily a big deal now, but in the early 1990s, it was a real big deal because all across the Solomon Brothers network, across the world, people could be sending trade ideas, research ideas, a lot of things that they wanted to communicate quickly would get through our system. We were a team that would go ahead and get requirements from users, translate those requirements into architecture design, go off and code it, then go off and test it, and then release it frequently, maybe in about a couple of months or 3 months at a time. And then many a times at 3 a.m. in the morning, I would get, these beeps coming from this nasty little device called the pager. And I don't know how many of you know this, and how old are you based on your age of this thing called the pager, and it would just go beep, beep, beep. And I would have to wake up at 3 a.m. in the morning and fix a database server for my traders in Japan. And that was my life for the first 3 years of my career. Can anybody imagine how big that team might be? You could share in the Zoom chat. How many people? 25, Manoj. One. Okay, Deepam, you got to give yourself a pat on the back. Give yourself a pat on the back, because you're right. It was 5 people, exactly 5 people. And we did all of this work. And I thought that's how the world works. And to my shock and surprise, after I left that company and went to another big investment bank, I realized that that's not how the world works. The world works in silos, and we just pass the ball from one silo to the other and continue to work long, long hours, delivering something to the customers after a long, long time. And the customers saying, this is not what I was looking for. That was my life for the next 10 years of my career, until I went to and attended a Scrum class. And the trainer in that class connected me with the first 3 years of my career and gave me a name for it called Scrum. That's when I was a development manager at Merrill Lynch. I had a team of 20 people. I immediately quit my job, became a consultant, and started helping people with Scrum. And that's what I've been doing for the last 2 decades, working with as a coach, as a Scrum Master, as a product owner for small banks, larger banks, and mid-sized companies. And what I like to do, though, is focus on the idea that I want to make product owners and entrepreneurs really thrive in their product. Anybody know this gentleman called Clayton Christensen? He's a professor at Howard Business School. He had a quote that there are about 35,000 products launched every year. 95% of them fail. And the reason for that is bad product management, bad product development, bad everything, bad a lot of different things, validation and all of that stuff. So I really want to focus on that and help my my students as well as my clients. So I'm a certified Scrum trainer with Scrum Alliance, and I also am an adjunct professor with NYU's a graduate program of project management. So that's really what I do. The QR code leads to my connection. So my LinkedIn, my Instagram, my YouTube channel, all of that is that QR code if you're interested. And of course, the slides will be available later. These are some of the companies that I've worked in and helped with product management and Scrum. And I want to start now and share with you something about AI. And AI has been something like, well, I have a master's in computer science. And even in the 1990s, when I came and started my program, I came to a program where I was a minor in AI. And the AI had been there from a long time, but really it got transformed in 2017 when Google released a research paper. Now, this research paper, I'm going to share with you a link. Just give me a second. You don't have to read it. It's a paper that is like really a little bit hard to understand for us normal people. For us, but if you like to, you can go ahead and take a look at it. But what I really wanted to share was what's part of this paper. And it's a fantastic storytelling technique that Financial Times offered about what really transformed AI and what AI is today because of this thing called transformer. So what is a transformer? And I wanted to stop this share and bring up another share and share this beautiful website with you. So this is Financial Times. And anybody heard of this person who just came up with a quote recently and said, my mother said, you're not somebody who's fallen out of a coconut tree. You think you're falling out of a coconut tree? Do you know this person? Famous person. Nobody? Happens to be a presidential candidate.
Harris.
Of course, her mother talked about this idea of you don't think you fell out of the coconut tree, and the idea was you're not like somebody that's just unique or somebody that's out there. You have some context. You have a sister, you have a mom, you have certain people that you are connected with, and you have context of who you are. And that's exactly the idea of transformers. Transformers, the way it works, and you could review this site on your own, but I'll just take you through. This is a very cool way of how they've explained to us how transformers work. So if there is a word like we go to work by train, the word work can be utilized in the English language in many different ways. So they tokenize those words and they connect it with other different words and start putting those words together in this thing called large language models. And the large language models are connecting each word with the other and giving it some context. And that's the whole idea of transformers. That's the whole idea that Google came up with in their research paper that I shared the link with. And so if you can go in and just scroll down, it's going to start assigning weights to those words. Based on those words, it's trying to learn what you are, what you're saying, what you're communicating with it, and then making sense of it. And that sense is done by machines that are looking at the weight in the large language model that is connected with these words and giving you a decent answer based on what they understand. So I just wanted to give you this very quick, very high level view of what transformers are. And that's what really transformed AI. And that made it to this company called ChatGPT that released the generative AI that a lot of people know now. But there's been a lot of other work that has gone in from 2017. Some we know about, some you might have not heard about. So I want to share those ideas with you because all of these um, end up becoming practical applications or practical things, features that you could add to your product. So I want to go ahead and share one capability of AI because AI is made up of several capabilities. One of them is machine language. Machine language is about helping computers learn patterns from data. So you really analyze the data, and without limited, with or without limited intervention, you can actually learn these patterns and do something about it. There's a couple of them. One is supervised learning and unsupervised learning. So I want to share some ideas with you. And just because there's a little bit of a hiccup last time with the breakout rooms, we'll probably do this exercise in the main room. What I like you to do is look at some features that you could see under supervised learning and unsupervised learning and see if there are things that connect with you. These are things, these are features that you might think about adding to your product. It could be predicting spam. It could be fraud detection. It could be grouping customer support tickets, whatever they might be, that is potentially valuable to you or to a product that you have in mind. So if you find something, share it in the chat window. Something interesting from this list. Yeah, absolutely. Forecast consumer demand. People love that. Awesome. If you're doing an HR system, well, forecast staffing. If you're in manufacturing, forecast raw material. Absolutely. So depending on the industry, depending on the product you work in, some of these things could be applied right away because these are things that are being applied by many, many products out there. Yeah, behavior analysis, Manoj, I like that. Awesome. Customer segmentation. Yep. So that's the whole idea of machine learning. You're really taking data that is doing data analysis, but you're letting the machine do the data analysis and either make decisions for you or with you. Sometimes you would want them to be supervised, and sometimes you would make decisions based on certain conditions that you have already shared with the machine, and let it go through the data that you have, and let it make those decisions. Okay, going to move on to another capability of AI called natural language processing. And again, here they are broken down into different features that natural language processing can help. So it's all about computers learning the human language. And by learning the human language, you can do tricks like text classification, like removing information or extraction of information from lots of documents, like becoming a conversational agent and having a conversation with a human being, although you're a machine, and such. So I wanted to share with you those features and how many companies use it. So take a few minutes and read through this. And when you are done reading, go ahead and type in a chat window something that's interesting for you that you might want to use as a feature in your product. Very cool. Again, depending on your business, your industry, your product, many of these are very valuable. Conversational agents you want to put in every website, most likely. Very cool. Deepam, tell us a little bit more about NLP-based dashboards. That sounds interesting to me.
Yeah,
Probably
so
not part of this
basically the
list.
idea really is that, I'm sure everybody's familiar with Tableau dashboards, right? So let's say for dashboards about sales, and if I'm a sales rep that represents certain area, I just want to go in and type, hey, give me sales for XYZ person, and then the dashboard should return the results, and that way I can make my life much more easier. So I think that's something that NLP can really be used for.
So taking large amounts of data and creating dashboards, but letting the machine create it rather than you having to intervene.
Exactly.
Hey, cool. Awesome. I love that. I just wanted to pause and see if you have any questions. Can I move on? Okay. Awesome. So let's look at certain opportunities. If you're a business person, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're a product owner, you're a product manager, you're at a strategic level, you want to know how AI is being used in the industry. And there are, on the left-hand side, certain business units within your organization. It could be human resources. It could be, some customer service. It could be sales. No matter what, there are problems in their own business, in the products that they use. The opportunity for them to improve on their product is pretty high. So on the right-hand side, there are case studies that show you opportunities for each one of their business lines and how they can help. Again, take a few minutes and just browse through this and see what interests you. And if you could share one or two that's like, yeah, I could use that, or potentially a feature that could be valuable to you or to someone in your organization. And feel free to not just put it in the chat window. If you like to share verbally, that'd be awesome too, because we're not using the breakout rooms to have conversations, but I would like you to have conversations and share something you are most interested in and why. Manoj, tell us about why is that so concerning?
Well, it's concerning because we human ourselves cannot figure out how to do this, and we are trying to find a better word that's usable here. But and how do we teach the? I mean, if machine is learning from our experiences and what we publish, it's gonna be really bad. That's my concern.
Well, potentially it can give you some recommendations, not necessarily make decisions, but hopefully give you some recommendations. Especially, I worked for JP Morgan Chase. There were about 250,000 employees. And in those cases, maybe sifting through data, sifting through information might be easier. And so maybe that's another approach that you could think of.
It was interesting. I went to Denver Startup last week, and this topic came up in ethics. And one point was, well, human beings have bias, so AI could potentially boil that bias out. But then the other side said, yes, but the person that's programming the AI has bias. So it's like an infinite loop. I think you have to have the human being in there. There's no way to get the human being out of there somewhere.
That's a huge bit of challenge. Ethics and governance within AI is a huge, it's a topic by itself. You could go really deep. And you're right, this is definitely a concern, this particular usage for in terms of ethics. Yep.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think even oh, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead, Shruti.
Yeah, I think when productivity improvement is a big topic, I think at many companies, right, code assists that a lot of developers are encouraged to use, right, to help with, their development efforts. Also, I think the use case provided here is a really good example of how you can process large amount of data to actually look at patterns and help, with resolving, certain types of errors or tickets that come your way. So I think that's, yeah. IT support may be another good place because I think we all at some point in our careers have had to have very long conversations with someone on the phone for something very simple. But I think that's another great place to kind of leverage that productivity improvement.
Fantastic. I mentioned sales, but it's actually on the next slide. So take a look at a few that have to do with marketing and sales, manufacturing, and of course, my favorite one, which is learning. And what insights does that bring for you? Any one or two that you'd like to share?
I
Or
really
share?
appreciate,
Go ahead,
pardon me.
Wendy.
I was going to say, I really appreciate the marketing and sales. I think that there's always an opportunity to upsell, but taking that and providing suggestions, is something that can be easily generated with AI. And, there's always things that a customer might have forgotten. And if you're having a conversation or if you're pinpointing, one specific product, you're leaving out all the others as well. So having AI just automatically attach, suggestions that either could be an upsell or forgotten, it just seems like a win-win.
Yeah. And if you've ever bought recently on Amazon, you'd find like 2,500 reviews for a product. And then on the top, it's going to give you an AI generated summary. And that's another thing that you could look at and say, okay, people want to just quickly understand what your service is, what your information is. Can I grab that information and provide them a summary so they could look at you and decide whether they want to buy your product or service?
I think sales is another rich environment because before you had to know the purchasing agent for a particular company. Now everyone's information is on LinkedIn, and you can actually, AI can actually find the decision, the person that would actually use the product in the company and market to them directly. So, which goes to a lot of bureaucratic things in organizations.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. LinkedIn, for example, you mentioned LinkedIn and LinkedIn's information. There are accounts that are fake accounts and created in LinkedIn. So LinkedIn uses AI to sift those out. So take those out where they can look at certain fake accounts, certain things that are not real, and getting them out. So they are using AI for that. So that's another example of how you can use AI when you have so much data or so much information.
Yeah, and I think the learning, as you mentioned, I think is also a very interesting one, because I think it gives you a perspective of, as you're trying to upskill. I mean, it's always a challenge, right? When you're not in the space and you're trying to build those T-shaped skills, you're like, oh, what do I learn? But having that kind of like a guide that'll at least tell you, okay, these are your options. That at least gives you a starting point that then dig in and learn more. So you can always do a search, but I think just looking at the scale of data and then giving you a recommendation or kind of like a filtered down view, I think it's definitely a cool idea and very interesting.
Great, great, great. I want to do this exercise with you. This is a thumbs up, thumb sideways, and a thumbs down. So share with me using a thumbs up if you feel you've got some ideas that you could include in your product. Thumb sideways, you're still thinking, and your thumbs down is like, I have to go through your slides. Great, great, great. For the people on the camera, I could see that. And for the people that are not, I could see some of you react and not react. But the idea is these slides, again, will be available for you. So if you've not been able to read through them, because there's a lot text-heavy slides, you might get an opportunity to then read through and get some ideas. Because the reason for these ideas is because what I like to do next is actually take you through how to create a business case for your idea. Because if you have ideas and you want to now take that idea that you came up with, or looked at a competition doing it, or looked at somebody else doing it, hey, how can I use this idea? And then the first thing you might want to do is sell this idea to your executives and stakeholders. Well, for that, you probably need to do a lot of homework. And what I would like to do is take you through that homework. What are the things that you might want to consider? What are the questions that you might want to ask? And how would you go about doing that? So that's what we're going to be doing next. So I want to offer you a worksheet, a business case analysis worksheet. And I want to start with the first one. So what is the problem that you're trying to solve? How big is it? Could you quantify it? So if you're thinking about adding something for, so I might pick something from the chat window, productivity improvement or classification of tags. Well, how big is that problem within your industry, within your product? And could you quantify it? What could be the challenge? And if you do it today manually or however you do it, and if AI were introduced, what it would mean? What would it mean in terms of the users that you might be able to add? What would be the customer dollar revenue that you might be able to get? Is it big enough? Would this automate, simplify people's lives? I mean, your customer's life. These are the kind of questions that you would want to ask so that you can get those answers together to start putting a business case together. Do you have any questions on this one before I move to the next?
So I have a question, Anil. Here, number 5, number 6, is it really required? Number of users, customers. Definitely dollar is required. No company can survive without, that kind of money. But if you are able to talk about first 4, that itself tells you, are you really solving the problem? Is it going to be useful? Is it going to be helpful? Is it a big problem, you are trying to solve? If you execute that itself, wouldn't, number 5 and, number 6 will just be, side products of it, basically.
Yeah, these are options that you can think about, Vikas, and think about if you're solving a big problem, it'll automatically save you dollars. That's what you're saying. And the idea is, well, how much is that? Could you give a projection? That will also allow your stakeholders and executives to look at it in terms of dollar amounts, rather than necessarily, they might or might not connect with the problem, but they might connect with the amount of money saved. And that's going to help you
But
sell your.
how would, Facebook would have decided what kind of dollar they are going to make, or WhatsApp would have decided what kind of dollar they are going to make, when, literally, they were just focused on solving the problem, and not really, and even if they would have came up with number, they would have been totally wrong. I mean,
Can you make an assumption based on the problem? And all you need for the business case is an assumption and some reason why your assumption might be right. That's the idea. Okay. All right.
Okay. Okay.
How it's about close to 7 Mountain Time. I'm of course in the East Coast, but I just wanted to check with you all how you're doing. Would you like me to continue, or would you like me to just breeze through the slides fast? How do you all feel? Want to stay in with this and continue? Just want to pulse. Feel it's interesting? Because Shruti gave me a secret. She's like, before you all join, it's like people trying to drop off by 7. So I want to make sure that you can all continue. Okay, so let me go ahead and continue. There is again, my favorite professor is Clayton Christensen, and he wrote this book called The Innovator's Dilemma. There's also a video, and I'd like you to watch it later on. But the idea was in this video or in this book, he really talks about sustaining innovation and disruptive innovation. Sometimes you are taking your product and trying to sustain it. And by sustaining it, you're adding some features that lets it sustain it. Disruptive is like a new product, a new AI product that's going to completely disrupt the industry. One of the things that I do is I have a successful YouTube channel. It's all monetized and lots of subscribers and all. And one of the things which is tedious in my job is editing those videos. And so I have a couple of things. I hire video editors, that's great. But I also have an AI tool that is natively AI that does video editing for me. And that's a disruptive tool. That's something that is not out there, not everybody's has it. And it's something that is going to take away some of the manual things, some of the tedious stuff that editors used to do and make it more automated. You still need editors, but the idea is that it's going to allow us to be faster in what we do. Disruptive innovation. So you need to think about the product, the thing that you're kind of adding to your product. Is it going to be disruptive, or is it going to be sustaining? And that's a really important question for you to answer when you're thinking about a solution for AI for your product. Okay. The next one is competition, of course. If you're a business case, you need competition. And, are you under threat? If you don't solve this problem, what is it going to be for your company, for your product? If you're doing disruptive innovation, like Vikas said, Facebook started as of disruptive innovation. It came in and it wanted to take over the world, which it did at that time. If you're thinking about AI product, which is native, which is something that's going to be disruptive, maybe you don't have competition, or maybe you have competition that's behind you, and you can go ahead and take over, just like Facebook did, and MySpace was, taken away. Or it's something that your product does not have, but your competition is getting there, and then you might want to have that. One of the things that I can look at and see is Coursera is another platform like LinkedIn Learning, but LinkedIn Learning is using AI. Coursera is depending on a lot of consultants to find out what skills might be valuable for somebody who's switching a job. And they're building content based on that. So that might be something that they might want to look at and say, can AI help me with that? And so that's a competition view, and want to look at that and see what might be valuable to you. Good with this? Can I move on? So awesome. Here, it's more about how is AI going to differentiate you? What is it that AI does today? Is it going to play well with your stack? Do you have one of the biggest complaints, one of the biggest challenges, and Manoj, keep me honest, is the amount of cost it takes to run AI, the amount of servers, horsepower, and such. So do you have that ability to do that? Does it work with your current tech stack? Does it work with the data and the infrastructure that you're looking for? Do you have the people? Do you have the skill sets? Do you have the expertise? And how are you going to continue to improve your model? These are things that you might want to consider when you think about adding an AI feature or building an AI feature from scratch. Again, I just want you to take that in and see if you have any questions.
So maybe I missed it. I don't know if it belongs here. So in terms of feasibility, right? Like, do we have the skills? Do we have the time and the technology to be able to do this? Is that assumed up until this point? Or is this just open if we have an idea and we're trying to put a case together?
You have an idea and you're putting a case together. So you have to think about all of these things. It's not assumed. You might have one or two things, but have you thought about all these things, which might be valuable? Maybe you have the skill sets. Maybe you have a few pieces together. But one of the biggest concerns that I have seen people just get stuck is the data and the infrastructure, the computing power. A lot of people do agents on ChatGPT, but then when they want to actually create a subscription model for it, the prices are too high at the moment. It's going to go down by Moore's law, but it's something that is not there yet.
Yeah, sorry, just to simplify my question, is it better to prototype and have some working model of this before moving into a case, or is it better to put the case together and build in that feasibility, right, into the case, right? Chicken or the egg is basically what I'm getting at. Maybe there's no answer.
It's a difficult question, because I'm always for validating your assumptions. And so validating an assumption is always a good thing. Then making a decision, if you're willing to put in based on what you see, put in more resources towards it. I would go with the first, validating it. Yeah. If I was me, I'm sure other people have other thoughts, but I would always like to put it out there and see what happens. Yeah, Manoj.
So this slide is talking about, can we do this without AI? And because AI might be expensive, can we do it without AI? I think that's at least the first one.
The first one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those are difficult questions to answer, right? But they are important to answer as you're thinking about the business case, because your executives are going to ask you that question. Can you not do this? Can you not solve it another way? Do you really need this? And what would be the cost? And you have the people, the right people there. Okay. All right. There's one more before we get there. And that's more about cost versus benefit, privacy versus personalization, and accuracy versus speed. So these are questions, these are trade-offs that you would have to also consider about AI. How much of AI you want to use? How much computing power you want to use? What is the ethics challenge that you might have? Are you violating any privacy? Are you looking at laws and at different countries that you might operate in? And are you having challenges with that? How much personalization you can do? These are things that you might also want to think about as you try to come up with these new products. And again, one of the things I really like what Tyler mentioned is validating them. Many times you don't know what you don't know. By putting up a prototype, by putting out some idea which is not fully baked, might give you some of these answers. You might not have all the answers right away. Okay. And then this worksheet is something that I'll also share with you after this event. It's just a PDF that I broke it down and put into slides, but I'd like you to have the worksheet so you can actually work through that as product owners. And then from there, create a business case. So just want to share some examples of business cases with you. One of them is a customer support routing AI. This is like, what Shruti mentioned about going through and adding all support requests through AI first and let the AI decide where to route it. The idea is you need to have a good business case which talks about the problem, the solution, what is the benefits, what is the scope, why and how AI is going to differentiate them, and then who are the stakeholders, who are you going to be engaging in this journey with you? What are some metrics that you might want to consider? And what would be certain costs? Again, some of these things are dependent on your industry, depending on product. So it's just an example. Just treat it as that. Don't take it as a real thing that might apply to you. Your solution might be different. Questions on this slide? Okay. I want to move on then. Anybody know this small little company called Khan Academy? It's not small anymore. It's a big company, and it is a very popular company. It's all about learning, and they created an AI tool that helps teachers create, from the learning objectives, create course planning and course, the number of students, the number of how are they going to break down the course and all of that based on the learning objectives. So they did a great job at that. Students can also use it, but it's mainly for teachers. And Microsoft is the sponsor because it's a nonprofit kind of solution. So Microsoft is sponsoring all the horsepower behind it, the server power, but it is another great tool that can be used by teachers. A case where something is built natively rather than something you add to your product, like a customer support routing. It's actually a product that is built natively. So again, ideas that you can steal from and then potentially use for your product, for your solution, for something that you're doing that I wanted to share. Do you have any questions? Anyone? What questions can I answer for you? Awesome.
I have a question. I don't know if it's directly tied to your content. So in my case, I feel like I have the business requirements, like 80%, but there's so many different AI products. Like I don't know how to find that developer,
Find the developer.
or the technology. And then once you find that, when you find the AI, how do you get the technical, development to build the solution? So maybe out of scope of your presentation, but that's my problem.
Again, there are skill sets, just like remember when we talked about building a user interface, then this whole skill set came together of people that take you through, people who are UX experts, user experience experts. You had to hire them so that you could build a great user interface or build a great experience for your customers as they walk through your website or through your application. Similarly, there are new jobs opening up for people that are in AI. These are data scientists, these are machine learning engineers, these are people that are looking at it from an ops perspective, machine learning ops people. And that makes legal people too, because you need ethics. So if you look at its AI organization, you would potentially want to put all of these skill sets together. Where would you find it? Well, that's the difficult part, because it's a hot, something that's out there, it's hot. A lot of people are there, but there are a lot more requirements because everybody wants to build something. I don't know if Tyler, sorry,
Yeah, I mean, it kind
Kevin,
of,
right?
I mean, I think that's the thing. It's like, there's 10 new AI products that come out every day. So, first is finding the right tech stack and then finding people that can actually develop it. But you answered my question. Thank you.
Yeah. One thing that's interesting is to think about is there was a Big Think video, great video. Professor talked about generative AI and predictive AI. Generative AI is it has not lived up to its hype. So if you've used, anybody use ChatGPT? Give me, we're going to do this thing, fist to 5. 5 is really useful. 4 is useful. 3 is like, yeah. 2 is like, no, it needs work. 1, can't use it that much. And this is like a never use it. So fist to 5 about how useful you find ChatGPT. 5, 4, 2, 4, 4. Can I give you my opinion? I'm kind of here. I need to do a lot of work. It does give me the initial stuff, but it is a lot of work after that. Maybe I don't know how to use it well, or maybe I am, want to learn more. But the idea is generative AI, which is ChatGPT, is still not lived up to its hype. And it was thought that they're going to replace humans. And I don't think that's ever going to happen. Predictive AI, though, predictive AI is very looking at fraud detection. You're looking at forecasting raw material. You're forecasting, things that are happening in your business. Those kinds of things are already there and doing really well. So there's a lot of AI tools, but there's a lot of hype, and they're mostly in the generative AI space. Yeah, Wendy.
The predictive AI, could you suggest a site where we could understand more from like what you're talking about?
Yeah, so a lot of this is predictive AI, machine learning. So a lot of things that do that. And then if you go back to some of the case studies that I shared with you, where you're actually doing forecasting, where you're actually letting the machine make decisions for you, those are something that you can use predictive AI. Also, Wendy, since you mentioned it, and I'll probably also share after this particular event, that video that I was talking about. It's a great video to watch about generative versus predictive AI. Okay. Some other material that I'm not going to go through, but I wanted to just share. First of all, if you're interested in building your strategic skills, of course, join my classes. I teach all of these different courses, and I teach it in a very engaging and fun way. It's never a lecture like this one. I think I spoke a lot today. They should really want people to speak. But then I want to share some ideas with you that I think Kevin mentioned, talking about product management today in the AI world. What is laying out, what is the product manager do, and what is the AI product manager do? So this is a slide that I wanted to offer you. You can read it at your convenience. You don't have to worry about it right now. Some tools for product managers. These are, again, you mentioned about there's lots of tools out there. What are useful tools that product managers can use for strategy, for road mapping, for understanding data or generating data? Some design tools, some experimentation tools, and documentation tools. These are specific and focused on product management. Okay. So just wanted to offer you that. Some of the competencies, and we talked about ethics and governance. This is really, really big. Strategy and vision, where you fit in a lot. Potentially building a technology acumen for you over time. And Tyler, experimentation first culture. So experiment more. The more you experiment, the better. And then, kind of the flow of if you're actually developing AI, what the flow would be. Again, these are additional slides that I put in because this is part of my workshop, part of my ACSPO course, that I go deep into this particular topic. And I wanted to just share that with you. I just want to stop this and see if you have questions. I'm at that point where I'm done with my slides.
I think Sebastian also had a comment in there. Should we feel secure enough that the leading models in the space will perpetually be available to use for our business? How important is understanding the first principles of the AI models being used?
Is that question for me?
Yes, I guess so. Or open to the floor, but
Yeah.
that was, I think, one comment that did pop up there.
What do others think? Shruti, would you like to repeat your question?
Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, I'll just speak up real quick. So I think the key is like there's many different types of AI, right? When we talk Gen AI, that's brand new, right? Maybe it's hyped up. I would say the security around that is probably a little iffy, right? There's a lot to be learned. But when it comes to things like machine learning or neural networks, like there are practices that are well known and have been in place for years and years, right? So I think I'm starting off like I'm just learning the foundations of some of these things, and it's clear already just from a couple weeks of training in school. It's like there are things that are more secure than other practices, but in general, all of them require some balance of human and technological interaction. Right, what that balance is depends on the use case and the practices used and so on and so forth. So I don't know if there's a set answer for that.
Yep. Sebastian, do you want to elaborate on your question? Maybe not.
I'm sorry. I would just say that kind of trying to find a platform to build my tool on. There seems to be an arms race between the traditional players, Microsoft, Amazon, et cetera, like Microsoft Copilot. One of its strengths is it's limited to the O365 environment that it's deployed in. So it's I think that's the problem, is it's not baked yet because there's this arms race and you don't know, you also have the individual contributors too. So there's definitely a lot of uncertainty, and you could build something and have to rebuild it 2 years from now or 3 years from now or whatever. So is the value worth it? I guess that's the question.
Anybody want to answer before I go on that one?
I guess ML is going to be, expensive also, right? When you have to deploy the model, you can't use MB, you have to use terabytes, or you want to train models. So that is upfront cost, huge cost there. But, if you use ChatGPT, well, it all depends on what kind of use case you have, but I found it very good, generative AI. Long run, yes, it is a huge cost, but yeah, for anyone to just, for startups, I guess you can still work with, small cost, and you can have a lot of guardrails also.
Yeah. And I think the way I look at AI is very similar to people who've lived through the internet age. When the internet was there first, everybody was like, okay, there's a solution in search of a problem. AI is very similar. There is a solution that is available to you and available to anyone pretty much, that could be used for a problem that you want to solve. Now, in this race, of course, you need to look at people that are big like Microsoft, Google and such. But then you would also want to look at the idea that there are certain niche companies that are solving specific things that you want to solve. And you might want to see if that is cost effective for you and go with that. Will that change? Will you have to take it up and put something else? Absolutely, because it's going to continue to evolve. So my answering it like, is there a golden solution? No. And Manoj, you had the slides. I'm going to share the slides with you, all of them. So you'll have them.
Yeah, and we'll plan to send those out to the group of folks of RSVPs. That way we can keep our group minimal as we go and spam and send resources out. So we'll make sure that we do a quick check on our end as well.
And if you plan to use them, definitely give credit to me.
Absolutely, 100%, no doubt about that. Do you have any other questions?
I have a general question, something that's not talked about too often, but when it comes to change, like generally leaders have to be at the forefront, right? They have to learn first as well. So, okay, great, I have a business case, I pitch it to my leaders, right? If that's it, right? Like that's all they know. They might read it at surface level. So how important is it for leaders to also be investigating and experimenting and learning continuously and being, right, just being ingrained in this environment? I think it's self-explanatory, but maybe there's some other perspective.
Extremely, I'll give you mine, and of course, people jump in if you have some more perspectives. But my thing is, it's extremely important. And I think the fact that everybody knows about ChatGPT, everybody's used ChatGPT or some form or shape of AI, people have got inquisitive. People are looking at it from that perspective. But leaders need to go a little bit deeper, because the first initial push was, this is going to replace everyone. And that's that's a wrong assumption by leaders. That's already gone on the wrong foot. It's not going to work. You need to have a human being being a little bit more skilled or skilled in these aspects that can then help you with AI. But do leaders need to really learn and understand that? And probably it's our job to educate leaders. Probably it's our job for them to actually go in and learn by themselves. Either ways, we need to make sure that our leaders are knowledgeable. And what I find is when I talk to my students, when I talk to my clients, and I talk about this particular topic, they're like, my leaders are all gung ho. When can I have this AI thing into my product? And I think that's also not correct, because just because everybody else, your competition, everybody else is jumping into that AI bandwagon, doesn't mean you need to. And this is a learning we learned from the internet age. Everybody jumped onto it, and there were many failed organizations.
Thank you.